rolling.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Hold on.
Hang on. He dropped it.
All right. Welcome to Road Students Podcast. My name is Elijah Meir, and I have with me Becky Worth. Becky is actually Zach's mom, but she helped us out this week with the discussion of suicide. Suicide's a very, it's a very difficult topic to talk through, but just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not something we should tackle, because we need our students to recognize, signs and what leads to these situations. So, Becky, I guess what was like the main thing you wanted students to walk away with yesterday?
Well, I think the main thing that I wanted them to walk away with is that there is hope. Because I think when someone's suicidal, they reach the point of, there's nothing I can do to take care of the pain that I am in.
Yeah.
And, there are a lot of things that you can do. But the overall arching thing is there is hope. God can provide you hope. Seeking out professional help can provide you hope. You don't have to stay where you are.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And I really love that you brought up the topic of hope in that situation, because that is what, God provides for us through Jesus. Is we have this hope of there is a better future. There is something to live for. And there is purpose in our relationship with Jesus.
And I think that's hard for youth to understand sometimes, the purpose part of it. Like I was driving to work this morning to my school, and I saw a student that walks to school, and I know this student, and he is a kiddo that hope's not there with him. And so that's one of the things, you're working with them to understand there is purpose to your life. You're not just here. It's kind of like the naturalism that we touched on last night, that philosophy that there is no God. You live, you die, that's it. You really don't matter. There are so many youth that believe that because that's what they've been taught. And that is so anti-biblical, and it's a big fat lie, is what it is, because the Bible does not teach that. Period. And I think last night I said, this ticks me off, and it does tick me off, because I see the effect that type of thinking is having on our youth today, and you just look at them and they're. You see in their eyes, there's just nothing there, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah, and I think that they're as things in this world just continue to grow, more dangerous, more out of control. We're questioning a lot of things that we've grown up knowing were fact, and so. There's not a whole lot of security or truth, and people are losing that hope, right? They're searching for hope. Yes. They're looking for something to hope into because they want something to believe in.
Well, and I think when God creates us, there's a, for lack of a better word, a hole in our heart that only Jesus can fill.
Yeah.
And people search for that throughout their lives until they may make the decision to follow Jesus Christ, and they fill it with things like, I know vaping's huge with youth right now. I mean, it's rampant, and it's destroying our youth of today. And so sexual immorality that they turn to, other types of drugs, alcohol, just relationships that aren't healthy, codependency on people. And it's none of that is going to fill the hole that only Jesus can fill.
Yeah.
So
the conversation I had with our senior guys last night was the things that we chase in this world end up like it doesn't last, right? Like if I find my purpose, I wanted to play college sports so bad when I was younger, and when I got hurt. That was out of the cards for me. And I had put all my cards into that. And so it's like, man, what is there for me now? And it could be, and it doesn't have to be just sports. It could be, you know, I want to have a large family when I get older. Well, and then you find out, well, I'm not able to have kids. There goes that purpose that you have thought that was your purpose in life. And with Jesus, it's different, right? Jesus, his purpose never ends, right? We are our purpose is to seek the lost and bring them to God. We're to love God and love others, right? That's the easiest way to say what our purpose is.
That sums it up right there.
To love God and to love others. That purpose never ends.
No.
And I think that's, I don't know, for me, that helps me when I feel like things are crashing down is, you know, my purpose, it never changes.
Well, and you know, the focus, where's your focus? When we talked last night about what are you putting in your mind, you know, are you putting positive things into your mind? You know, I shared with them John 16:33, which is like my go-to verse when Jesus is talking to the disciples and he tells them, in this world you will have trouble. So he tells us, you're going to struggle. Things aren't going to go your way, but take heart. I have overcome the world. And that just excites me. Yeah. And there have been times in my life, you know, with raising kids or even before that, that's what I stood on, you know. And one of the things that we talked a little bit about last night, but not a whole lot, and I think we want to get into this, is when we're talking about suicide, is signs of suicide. And there are a lot of different things that are like the typical signs of suicide. The lack of hope. One, you know, if someone says, you know, I feel like killing myself, they just come straight out and they say it. They may have a big change in behavior. So they may be an introvert and then all of a sudden they become an extrovert and they're just, you know, really hyper out there. Other things are they may give things away, you know, things that are prized possessions. They may give those away, or they may just say something to you like, you know, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I just want to know you to know that I love you and you're one of my best friends. And sometimes hygiene changes. They just don't care. They don't bathe. They don't wash their hair. And grades will fall in school, and their behavior just does a 180.
It's a self-destructive.
It is. It's a self-destructive type of path that they take, and we need to make sure when you're talking about love God and love people that if we are seeing stuff like that in someone, we say, hey, you know, what's going on? You need to talk about something and be willing to get out of our egocentric world that we live in, you know, thinking that the world revolves around us and realize that it doesn't, and lend a hand to someone else just to check on them.
Yeah. And so if we're seeing these signs in a friend and I don't think it necessarily has to be a friend, but someone you know, it could be someone who sits on the other side of the classroom.
Yep.
Like, what are we supposed to do?
Well, first of all, as a student and most adults, you're not trained to be able to deal with someone who is having what we call suicidal ideations. And so the best thing that you can do is get them to someone that can help them. So like typically as a school counselor, what will happen is a student will come to me and maybe they've seen something on social media or a friend has texted them or they've just noticed some sort of really big change in behavior of their friend. And they're like, hey, Miss Worth, this is what I'm seeing with this student. I'm really worried about him. And that starts it rolling, you know. Then I call and I check on that student. I'm not trained as a school counselor to provide treatment for someone, but I do know how to get them help, and then we go from there. And, you know, as a youth, the biggest thing that I could tell youth is go to an adult that you trust and let them know concerns that you have, either about yourself or about a friend, so that that adult can get things going. get things moving. And then there's the 988 number that Oklahoma has, the mental health hotline. Pick up the phone, call. That thing is manned 24/7, and there are people who are trained that answer those calls that can provide the guidance, or if something needs to happen right then, they can call the police and do a well person check and get that person taken care of.
Awesome.
Yep.
Let's see if there's one more question I had. Yeah, I would say the only other question I have is if you are someone who is, I guess, struggling with hope or struggling with suicidal thoughts, what is the first 2 or 3 steps you would suggest to them?
The first thing is you need to reach out. Okay, the realization that you are having these types of thoughts, I guess, would actually be the first step. Recognizing that this is what is going on, and then reaching out and getting help. This is something that really is not. You can't do it on your own. You've got to have help from somebody else.
I think that realizing you're not the only one, right? Because I think some people think, man, there's something just wrong with me. But I mean, if we're honest, everyone's got something wrong with them.
Right. Yes, that's true.
But I think realizing you're not alone in this, but you shouldn't remain in this.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a way to get out. There is a way to get the help that you need. And, connecting with people, especially in that type of situation, is vital to know that you're not alone, to know that there is someone that can provide help for you. And, when youth are thinking about the types of friends that they have, they need to work on having those healthy relationships, those people that are close to them, Christian friends that they can go to, and then having people like you or Zach or Jason's behind the camera, even Jason, that they can go to and they can say, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah, I think, friends are crucial in those moments of the right friends, because you'll have some people who call you their friends, but they're pointing you something completely different to where you need to be. Like, you need people who are going to point you towards the light, right? We need someone to point us towards God and not to things that would either damage us or put the responsibility on ourselves. Or we need people who will point us to the only one who can help us, right? Not saying that therapy and stuff like that doesn't help. I think that's
vital.
I think God has blessed and gifted people to talk to people for those purposes.
And that's another thing. I don't think there's as much stigma as there used to be about getting professional help with mental health, but it's still there. And you just throw that out the window. Because if you're a person who's in need, you're struggling mentally, it's like I told the kids last night, if you break your arm, what do? You go to the doctor. Yeah. If you're struggling mentally, what do? You go and you get some help. And if it's professional help that you need, then that is exactly what you do. Because like you said, God gifts people with ways to help other people. And so there's someone that has been trained, that knows what to do, that can give you the help that you need and walk with you through that whole process.
That's awesome. Well, Becky, I thank you so much for stepping in and helping us this week. And if you're sitting here watching and you are struggling with the thought of, man, I don't have any hope, or I have contemplated suicide, please reach out to someone. Reach out to us if you like. But there is hope in Jesus, and we want to encourage you to seek out Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
We'll see you next week.